let me get an avatar here to help kind of break it down.
She got that.
What's up, man? You done getting that B-roll shot?
Yeah, I think so.
This is it, dude. It's go time. Getting my last little bit of pedaling in this week. It's cold outside. Riding in here, but basically, bike's all dialed in. Let me tell you about it. Welcome to Papa Panda's Bike Talk. Here's the breakdown on the bike I'm gonna be riding for the Not Dead Yet 240-mile Katy trail experience. Rolls off the tongue. This bike is a giant Defy. I got it a few years ago, kind of as a road bike, some gravel, and I've totally transformed it now to being this long distance gravel. Swapped out my tires and went to a 40C tire. Gives it as wide as I can fit on this frame. People are running a lot wider than that now, but this seemed to be great for me. And most of the time on the trail right now, I find it to be the most comfortable and most pedaling efficient for me to ride at about 55 to 60 PSI in these tires. Really, really pumped on it. The other thing I really loved about this bike is the overall positioning and size has fit my skeleton really well. And so the biggest thing I had to change out were some of the handlebars. I wanted to give myself another position to get in, so I added some aero bars. And if you look back at the 143-mile ride I did with Charlie, I have some on there, and they're these tiny little, really fancy, beautiful carbon jobs. They're not perfect. It gave me a different place for my hands, but I couldn't really get into position to lay on them to be able to use this as an alternate place to rest. So these have been awesome. These are the profile designs. I added some risers, and then I had to use a heat gun, open these up and make them flatter to fit my big fat arms. So I added some frame bags and pouches everywhere so that I can carry my food, maybe some herbal refreshments, and anything else that I need with me on the trail, like tubes and tools are back here. This will be snacks. Up here will be other stuff, maybe communication, my headphones, some things like that that I need. And up front, I can carry some bigger food like sandwich or whatever else I feel like I want to have. The biggest thing I made a switch to was this saddle. I personally like riding a really hard saddle. As I've ridden for years now, this seems to be the most responsive for me and the most comfortable over really long times. Having a mushy saddle plus a mushy chamois plus mushy ass for 18 hours is a good way to make that all go rotten. Other than that, this bike's pretty set, and I'm really excited about how it's turned out. I dig the vibe of it. So this is my rig. You could order one, but you can't. It's best of luck, but call now. Okay, next thing we gotta talk about is like my own personal kit. What am I wearing? Let me get an avatar here to help kind of break it down. This is not gonna be ideal, but we gotta start with the base. First things first, cycling kit. I got my own stuff made, it's our own branding. I did it through Starlight Apparel. Bibs have been great, have some nice side pockets, jersey's comfortable. This is my base layer kit. Next thing, shoes. These are gravel, kind of just mountain bike shoes from Giro. I thought they're green and I like the way they look. There isn't anything more special about them than that. Next up, helmet. Bell Helmet has been sponsoring me since we did the stuff with motorcycles, and they were nice enough to kick us these new XR gravel helmets. I've been super into it, and I got it custom painted by our homie Dustin Klein. This helmet has been super, super killer. Shades. These are made by POC. I think they make me look pretty bitchin'. So that's what we're basically gonna wear the whole time. Now, we have some other accessories that I'm gonna need. So gloves, second pair of gloves for cold weather. Give me these cool lobster claws. I can still do everything, but definitely keep the cold and everything off my hands. Way better setup. I also have this all-weather vest in case I need to stay a little bit warmer and have place to put my stuff. And then finally, I've got a jacket. This is, I know I'm gonna be wearing throughout the first part of our ride. During the night, it's gonna be cold. And a few other accessories are like a buff and a headlamp. So that's it. That's full kitted out Avatar. He's ready to rip. So meanwhile, I'm still strength training. There's some amount that needs to be done every week for my body to be feeling top notch. But the main things we learned, or what I'm gonna run into trouble with, is hydration and nutrition. So the hydration and nutrition stuff is gonna be the most critical element of this. Like if I don't stay fueled there and I start cramping or I bonk, I'm never gonna be able to dig out of that hole. So pedaling for almost 18 hours, this ride's gonna require 12, maybe 14,000 calories. And while I'll never get anywhere near that, I have to stay fueled. I have to be putting stuff in my body that keeps me moving and keeps me kicking ass. So candy bars, beef jerky, whatever I can get that's simple and easy to digest and tastes good. The other side of this is how well I'm taking care of my body, managing tissues, managing inflammation, and doing all those important things. Like mobility is already one of those things that I struggle with due to my hip and knee, so I can't afford to lose any ground there. So taking time to roll out, work on tissue, plus
making sure I'm doing stuff like getting a massage once a week. This was something I always did when competing and always reminds me that we're getting ready to do a fun thing.
The rest of it is taking time to be like in the sauna has been the other critical element of this. Like I know what it does to help my tissue, I know what it does to restore blood flow. The other big chunks of what it's doing with cardiovascular health, we see that it supports like zone 2 cardio, which is really what I need for the ride. And any passive help I can get, like sitting in a hot box, I'll take. And finally, the cold. This has been the #1 game changer every day for focus, for training, recovery, allowing me to be back on the bike the next day, feel good after doing the long charges. This thing has been unbelievable and still continues to be one of the most valuable tools in my toolbox. That's how I've been taking care of myself and all the things I've learned about getting ready to do a big endurance style thing. Personally, I feel really good about it. It's gone up and down. I've been really nervous about doing the big ride, and then when we did the 143, I got really scared about like that first 6 hours and 100 miles being in the dark. But since then, I've done some different training, and I went and trained one day really early and spent 2 hours in the dark, and it was fine. So exposing myself to all these parts along the way has built a lot of confidence in doing a thing that I've never done. And I mean, still, I'm 100 miles short of this distance. Prior to starting this training 8 weeks ago, I had never even done a single 100-mile ride. My longest ride prior to that was like 55 miles. So in a really short amount of time, I've built up a much bigger gas tank. I've learned a lot of new skills, and I'm doing way more miles than I ever thought that I could be capable of doing without being in pain. And it's been cool to see how much I can do. So this week's really great. Everyone's gonna start getting in town pretty soon. Production team will start getting meeting and doing all that side of it, which I'm really, really excited to do. Today's my last day to go get a ride in, so I'm gonna go do some pedaling.